Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Protostera Pod Show, one of the most self-indulgently named podcasts on the internet right now. My name is Cody, also known as Protodad, and as always, I am joined by Cassidy. Cass, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty well. I'm tired from a work week,
Aren't we
but
all? Aren't
but
we
I'm
all?
here.
Yeah, I believe in you. I believe in you and I. I think we both got this under control finally. This whole work thing. But anyway, yeah, welcome to the show, everybody. Just to kind of let you guys know kind of what we're about. I am, my name's Cody. I am Protodad, and I am a video game player in my 30s. Also a dad, and Cassidy is one of my longest friends, and we decided we wanted to get together and talk about kind of where we've been in terms of games and media, and kind of where we're going and what that's kind of made us along the way. So, Cass, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself just to kind of get us started here?
Well, as previously mentioned, I'm Cassidy, or Cass for short, and I've been playing video games since probably 5 years old.
Same.
And yeah, they have just been a constant in my life. And I don't know, my number one hobby, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of very very much the same with me. It's kind of where I'm here. I started playing video games when I was with a wee lad. Of like I think I was probably about 3. And it's kind of crazy looking at how far back that we've started out with games and what we've all kind of been through. And so that's going to be kind of the topic of tonight's episode, which is probably it might end up being a two-part series, but we're going to talk about where we've been and kind of what games over the course of each generation have left such a very long-lasting impact on our lives and kind of made us who we are today. Because I don't think I would be who I am today without video games and the way that they've affected my life with the relationships that I've built. I think you and I even met via video games, and you have been there for me for like what 15 years now. It's crazy.
Something like that. And yeah, my prediction is if you didn't have video games, you probably would have been like a band teacher or something.
Probably that would have been horrible. Oh man, shout outs to the poor kids who are currently playing high school band in bubbles. Literal bubbles. Have you seen that photo? It's crazy.
I love those photos.
Yeah.
Those children have all the animosity of a cat.
Jeez. Alrighty, so I think what we're gonna do is tonight we're gonna start off with what I think is both of our first systems that we really started playing games with, and that is going to be the Nintendo Entertainment System. So Cass, I'm gonna let you go ahead and lead us off. What you got for the NES? What changed your life on that gray brick of a system?
Okay, so I will say up front that I also played the other system from this generation, the Sega Master System.
Oh wow, I actually did not know that.
Yeah, I used to have one, and I think the only notable video game I remember from that console that I played was Paperboy, and that's an arcade port.
Oh, I played Paperboy, but I played Paperboy on the NES, so
Yeah,
not quite the same.
at least I think it's an arcade port. um, but no, like the NES is where I really got my start, and the first game that I ever played, and the one that is probably the most important to me, is the original The Legend of Zelda.
That's a good pick.
And it's I mean, it's basically the first open world game that's not like on a PC engine.
Yeah, really and truly, when you think about it, that's very true. Very true.
Like, not quite in the same way that we think of open world games today, but I mean, clearly Breath of the Wild took a lot of notes from the original Zelda game.
Yeah, that's for sure. Breath of the Wild is a very very modern take on the original. Um, but yeah, so what really resonated with you about the original?
Well, probably my first time getting stabbed to death by Lionels.
Fantastic.
Um, other than that, it was the fact that I could just get lost and enter any of the dungeons I saw in any order I wanted to.
Yeah,
Sometimes having to turn around and go back because I didn't have items that I needed to progress in those dungeons, or
yeah.
running out of bombs or getting killed by dark nuts.
I've just got this image in my head of like somehow like Link getting stabbed by a Lionel is like somewhere in your house in like a Precious Moments picture frame, and it's beautiful. I'm sure that
Yeah, I'm doing the pose from the Scream painting,
yes, good. Yeah,
which is
that's
also the Macaulay Culkin Home Alone face.
yeah, yeah. That's oh man, yeah. Legend of Zelda is such an influential game on just about everything. The way that it took the adventure genre and really flipped it on its head and put you, the player, more in the role of the adventurer. It's actually kind of crazy. It's a really impressive game. Really, really
Yeah,
impressive.
especially if you got the game secondhand and didn't have the instruction booklet to tell you what was going on.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
This was back in the day when a game generally didn't have the story inside the game. It was all in the instruction booklet, unless it was Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest. And
Yeah,
we didn't even get Dragon Quest as Dragon Quest here.
it was Dragon Warrior actually, like way back in the day. I remember that being Dragon Warrior. I never played Dragon Warrior on the NES, but I did play the original Zelda. But I played Zelda 2 first.
Oh wow.
It's a sin, but I actually really like Zelda 2. I think that's
Zelda 2 is a sin.
Hey, now that I will. I think if that game got a modern update, like a modern remake retelling, I think that could actually be a really, really cool game because a side-scrolling Zelda game, it works better than I think it should. But that's Zelda 2 is a discussion for another time.
As long as they keep the weird Ganon laugh, I'm down with that.
Oh yeah,
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 which it's kind of like the King Carnelian laugh, or well, not King Carnelian, the king from the CDI games.
yeah, it really is. Now that I think about it, that's kind of ooh, oh jeez. Yeah, Zelda 1 is just like my experience with the game was actually really really minimal until the do you remember when Nintendo was giving out the Nintendo Anniversary Collection with the Nintendo Power subscriptions?
Oh,
Like
I remember. I
that
had it.
that was my first exposure like really in depth to the original Zelda. Before that,
That's funny.
yeah, it actually I had played it very briefly before. Like I said, I spent most of my childhood playing Zelda 2. So I didn't really get to dig into Zelda 1 until I was until I was in high school. With that
Wow.
with that collection. So that's how I first experienced the game. So I experienced it through a little bit of an older lens. This was a post Ocarina of Time Cody, post Majora's Mask Cody.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Almost Wind Waker, Cody.
yeah, post Wind Waker, well, almost, yeah. That did come out after Wind Waker because I remember that disc also had a Wind Waker demo on it as well, where you played through the Dragon Roost Island.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good game, and I hope at some point I would really like for Nintendo to bring over the Satellaview remake of the original Zelda, the BS Legend of Zelda. I would love to see that get a Western release at some point.
It feels like the kind of thing that could happen these days, since Nintendo is kind of just dredging up their old properties. I mean, look at the Famicom Detective Club
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, it's kind of crazy, kind of crazy. Um, so okay, so for my experience on the NES, so uh, I my mom's best friend's daughter used to be the one who babysat me, and they had a original Nintendo at their place. So anytime that I would go over there while they were babysitting me, I would play the original Nintendo. And this is my pick. This is what kind of this is my pick for the game that shaped me from this generation, because this game was the first game that I ever beat. And given my tag, and and the association with the this series, um, it kind of makes a lot of sense. The first game I ever beat was Mega Man 6, and that's what kind of kick-started me going along this down this path.
Pretty interesting considering that game was out when the SNES
Yeah, when
was
the
out.
SNES, that game came out in November of 1993. I beat it in like 1995, 94.
Wow.
Yeah, I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. Like I have always loved Mega Man. Mega Man has been a staple of my life since I could, like, I can't remember a time where I didn't know who Mega Man was. Like, Mega Man is like my, you see all these kids running around with Batman and everything, and they, I ran around with Mega Man stuff. My mom just recently moved here to Florida, and I was helping her unpack, and we were going through all of my like my old toys, which now are going into the playroom for my daughters whenever they go to visit, and I found my old Ruby Spears Mega Man action figure.
Oh, geez.
With the abs and everything. It was actually amazing. It made me so happy to find that. But yeah, Mega Man. Yeah,
Now
go.
give me your best Proto Man impression.
Whatever turns you on, Doc.
Excellent.
Yeah, shout outs to Scott McNeil for voicing both Proto Man and Dr. Wily. I think that might still be my favorite version of Dr. Wily.
For sure.
Yes. But yeah, Mega Man 6, like, because she had Mega Man 2 and she had Mega Man 6, and I ended up playing Mega Man 6 a lot more because Mega Man 6 was, I guess, easier to me as like a 5-year-old. Mega Man 6 was easier to me because I got to it had Rush in it.
Right.
Yeah, when you can merge with Rush and jump around and fly and do all sorts of crazy stuff with it. But I just replayed this game like last week.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because I've got the anniversary collection or the legacy collection on the Switch. So I was laying around, so I booted up another playthrough of Mega Man 3, and that game holds up. That game really holds up. The level design is tight. The way that you can go down multiple pathways to get the different beat letters is really, really cool. The rush adapters is such a cool concept, and yeah,
that would come back in the next one.
Oh yeah, Mega Man 7. I was so happy to see the power adapter and the jet adapter both come back in Mega Man 7. Like I love Mega Man 7, but 6 is just something special to me. No.
And yeah, you're definitely right. Like, for a kids starting Mega Man game, you probably couldn't pick a better one than Mega Man 6. It's got the most toned down difficulty that I could think of outside of maybe Mega Man 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Mega Man 6 a lot. The difficulty, I think it really strikes a good balance.
Right.
And the presentation's really good too. And I'm still like the more that I've listened to it, the more I'm like, okay, I actually kind of dig the soundtrack more than I like Mega Man 2's. Like Tomahawk Man's theme just gets in my head and does not leave.
I think Flame Man's theme slaps.
It really does. Like that's one of the few Mega Man 6 jams that I sat down and learned how to play on piano. The riff, the da 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 da. Oh, it's so good. I love it. But yeah, like I know
Dalsum's theme from Street Fighter.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. And I know you two are also a big Mega Man fan. Where does this rank in your hierarchy of Mega Man?
Well, if I'm ranking it against the classic Mega Man games, it's probably somewhere in the middle. It's definitely not in my top 3 or 4, but it's definitely not in the bottom rung either.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Makes me sad, but I hear it a lot. But I've never met anyone who dislikes the game.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I probably placed the first Mega Man game near the bottom of the classic series.
Yeah, Capcom, like, were actually a lot of games in this area, and then in the 16-bit era, like, they really didn't get going until the second title. Because, I mean, when people talk about, Mega Man, the start of the Mega Man series, they're really talking about Mega Man 2. When people talk about the start of the Street Fighter series, they're talking about Street Fighter 2. And like first party Nintendo games, they had that weird, they always had that weird experimental sequel, and then things really kicked off with the third game. Link to the Past, Mario 3, those are both great examples of that. So, but yeah, kind of, moving away from the NES. So, we got Mega Man 6 and Legend of Zelda shaping us, kind of from the get-go. With the original Nintendo. We're going to move on now to the 16-bit generation, which is going to include the Genesis and the SNES. So between all the games and those two systems, what hit you the hardest for the 16-bit generation?
Okay, so this one's going to come out of left field because you probably expect me to say something like Mega Man X or A Link to the Past or Chrono Trigger. But I'm also going to pick the first SNES game I ever played, and it's the pack-in title that I got with the system, and that's Killer Instinct.
Oh wow! I was not expecting that. Okay.
Killer Instinct is the game that introduced me to fighting games.
I respect it.
I feel like I have a sense of kindredship with Maximilian here on that one.
Hashtag bring back KI, everybody.
Yes, bring back KI.
Bring back KI.
No, it's just got a really cool cast of characters. The music all slaps. It's got that fighting game difficulty, like for the single player.
Oh, geez,
it's got things like combo breakers, which it's the only game that I know of that ever did that.
Yeah.
And you were able to do, like, crazy multi-hit combos with your, the equivalent of, like, a fatality, like your ultra combo finish.
Oh, that's cool.
It had a skeleton who cackled, and he was my best friend.
Your best friend. That's awesome.
I love Spinal.
I feel so bad because KI is like one of those gaping holes in my my fighting game repertoire, so to say. I never really got into it. The only KI game that I actually ever owned was the Game Boy port. Can you believe that?
Oh no!
Yeah,
I played that one.
I did too.
I did not enjoy it. I played it though.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who, like, I think you're probably the only other person that I've ever met that realized that there was a Killer Instinct game on the Game Boy. I don't even know where I got that game from. I don't know if I, like, bummed it off somebody at the playground or what, but somehow Killer Instinct just went home with me one day on Game Boy.
It just appeared like one of those brambles that attaches to your pants when you're out walking around in the brush.
Jeez, I hate those, except this one is like, a skeleton who cackles.
Yeah, and I don't even remember if he's in the Game Boy version. I remember Saberwolf being in there
Yeah,
just because,
Saberwolf
you
is the
know,
only one that I remember. Um, yeah, that's actually kind of crazy because, you know, when you think SNES fighting games, you know, your mind immediately goes to like Street Fighter, uh, you know, or Mortal Kombat. You know, Killer
right.
Instincts, you know, it's popular, but you know, it doesn't really hit the same way. So that's actually really awesome that you got kind of a fighting game start with KI. You know,
Yeah.
that's a good pick. That's a really good
And
pick.
I had to pick one that wasn't on everybody else's list.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's yeah, because I mean, you know, this is about, you know, games that kind of shaped us, not necessarily the games that, you know, we think are the best on a system. Like I don't necessarily think Mega Man 6 is the best game on the NES.
Right.
Yeah, it's up there, but yeah, this is, you know, more about what's kind of shaped us over time. And
But don't worry, there is one game that I have chosen for later on that is definitely on a lot of top lists.
oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm about to do that right now. Um, so if anybody has ever known me for any amount of time, like this game, I have, you know, I will preach on high about this game until I die.
It's Bubsy.
It is absolutely Bubsy. No, so really, when talking about games that have been influential in my life, this one got me a amazing group of people together who shared in love and creativity, and we really kind of put our all to, you know, try and make something, you know, to follow up with this game on. You know, you were in there here, you know, here and there. Um, but you know, this game also got me interviewed by by a French website. I can't even remember like
That's hilarious.
yeah, the French. I had a French fan base because of the fan games that I made based on this game. Like it was crazy. I made a really terrible fan game sequel to this game that got over like 15,000 downloads or something like that. It's
It's
kind of
crazy.
nutty. It's crazy. So yeah, Bubsy 3 is my fan game. No, I'm just kidding. I'm talking about Chrono Trigger. Like
Duh.
I yeah, I this game was okay, so I you know, I had this classmate named Kenny, and one day he pulled me aside. He's like, "Dude, the guy on this game looks like Goku. Do you want to play it?" I'm like, "Yeah." So yeah, Chrono Trigger. You know, I think everyone knows it by now. You know, the time traveling RPG from the minds of Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, and Dragon Ball. Um, you know, directed by Masato Kato and scored by Yasunori Matsuda. It was like that was like the closest thing to an out of body experience. This is like I have played this game at least 2 or 3 times a year for the past 15 years. Like I have played this game a lot. I've done like I've studied this game's lore. I've gotten sucked into its world, and this game has like just through the community of people that I met while I was in college, while I was working on these fan games, because Chrono Trigger never got like a really more direct sequel. You know, there was Chrono Cross on the PlayStation, and I love Chrono Cross. I know a lot of people are kind of weirded out by it because it doesn't really follow the same mold as Chrono Trigger. Um,
It's a cool game.
it's a really cool game, and it's got the like the roster of a fighting game. It's kind of crazy. Um, Shout outs to PodShow, but I this game is just so special to me. It's my all time favorite game. You know, I've dedicated so many hours to creating, you know, new stories in this game, and I've made, you know, lifelong friends. But you know, the guy who played guitar at my wedding was one of my co-designers, and I had not really met him in person until he came to my wedding, which is it's crazy. It's crazy, and the people that I've met through that game and through that experience that it's given me has just I will always and forever cherish it. I absolutely adore it.
Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I first found out about Chrono Trigger through illicit means,
Uh-oh.
um, sailing the high seas and whatnot. As a poor child who couldn't afford an $80 video game,
Yeah,
because those
yeah.
those SNES JRPGs, especially towards the end of their lives, had like extra RAM chips, I think, in the cartridge,
Yeah.
so they upcharged.
Yeah, like a lot of the hardware and a lot of the SNES carts really caused them to the prices to go up. And it was actually kind of crazy because there was stuff. Oh, excuse me. Like the prices of stuff like Star Fox and Mega Man X2 and 3 were just out of this world. It was insane. And Chrono Trigger was one of those games. And I mean, the game was drop dead gorgeous. And
Oh yeah,
yeah, like one of the best looking games still to this day.
right, and it followed up Final Fantasy VI, and it somehow, I don't know that I could say that it looks completely better than Final Fantasy VI.
I
It
can.
does in a lot of ways, but
I can
uh,
absolutely say that.
I think the way that the characters emote is better in Final Fantasy VI, but just about everything else graphically is better in Chrono Trigger, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm like, I can't. There's nothing that I can find that I dislike about this game.
I
Like,
just mean, like, I think it comes down to the art style, and
mhm. Yeah, because
probably in the fact that maybe Toriyama didn't draw a lot of reference material.
well, Toriyama tends to not do that. He's got a very I hate to say it, but a lot of his style is somewhat cookie cutter. You can kind of tell where his templates are. I think I think at some point Akira Toriyama has like made like had somebody develop him a Akira Toriyama create a character program where
Right.
he just picks from all of his different hairstyles and eye shapes and colors, and yeah, and that's how he designs Dragon Quest 12.
Yeah, and all I can think for Chrono Trigger is, man, those poor sprite designers having to take these drawings that Akira Toriyama like sends, it quickly scribbles down and translate that into a sprite.
Yeah, but I mean,
They did a good job.
yeah, a lot of the artwork for Chrono Trigger is just it's so beautiful.
Yeah, man, look at the Tyranno.
Oh my god, yeah, the Tyranno,
It's one of the
Lavos.
coolest looking dinosaurs
It,
in anything.
it really is. It's kind of insane. But yeah, I love that game. I will pass out pamphlets at any opportunity. And I hope it comes to Switch so that I can play it in bed. And because I don't care if it's $30, $40, I'll pay it square. Like,
If not, you could pirate it. Just don't get caught.
I got the Steam version. I got the Steam version last year on sale for like $7,
Did
and
they fix the UI?
it's better. Not good, but it's better.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got like a huge soft spot for the Ted Woozy translation.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, like even if like Glenn's dialogue is still all out of whack.
Oh no, it's amazing. I
Yeah,
love his flowery night language.
I love it. Yeah, did he translate Super Mario RPG as well?
I don't think he did. He did Final Fantasy VI, of
Yeah,
course, and
that's
then for Final Fantasy Anthology, he did Final Fantasy V as well.
okay. Cool, cool. Actually, I kind of want to check out the FF5 port then. Uh,
It's that translation isn't as good as the later GBA translation,
oh,
which
okay.
would be the PC one as well now.
I see. I see. Yeah, I just got a FF6 as well on PC, and I forgot that they changed the artwork.
Yeah,
Oh
some
no.
extensive mods to fix that at
Yeah,
least.
yeah. But okay, so all right, so we're gonna jump into 3D now, or really 32, 64-bit.
Stop the train, I want to get off.
Yeah, yep. Here we go. All right. What for this generation? What's the game?
All right, so I'm picking from a series that is was definitely going to end up on this list.
Eventually.
It just had to happen. My game is Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah, you love that game.
I do love that game. It's kind of a black sheep in the series in some ways, but and I can probably admit to Final Fantasy VII maybe being the better game, but Final Fantasy VIII was not only my first Final Fantasy game, it's the one that hits the hardest with me.
Yeah.
And I think the junction system is actually really cool. It's more customizable than a lot of systems in a lot of Final Fantasy games. And with it, you can break the game in half before you're even halfway through disc 1.
That's amazing. I kind of love it when games let you do that, when you can just break them in half.
Oh yeah, and you can do it all by playing card games.
That's actually pretty cool. Like FF8. Like I tried it way back in time, when I was in high school, or high school or middle school. I don't know. It was when I had actually recently gotten my PS1, and did I borrow FF8 from you?
Maybe, or maybe my sister.
Yeah, I can't remember. I borrowed FF8 from somebody, and it just didn't click because I was coming off the heels of FF9, which was if I had to pick like a singular PlayStation game, would probably be FF9, either FF9 or Mega Man X4.
Nice.
But
X4 would have been my other pick.
Yeah, X4. Oh, it's so good. But yeah, like FF8, like it never really captured me. And the new remaster that recently came out, like I think last year or 2 years ago, on the like the Switch and all the current gen consoles, like I was really impressed with the level of detail that they've added to a lot of those character models. That game looks great.
Yeah. I will say there is a caveat to that.
Oh no!
I wish that they had up-res the backgrounds, like AI upscaled or something, because it's kind of funny to see the extremely high-res remastered models on top of these painted backgrounds that are way lower res. It's funny, I'll give it that. But nowadays, if you're playing the PC version, there are mods to fix that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that's not even an issue anymore.
Yeah, there's an equivalent to the Final Fantasy IX Moguri mod, and
it's
get it.
yeah, for sure. I've seen a lot of like really wicked stuff with FF7. One thing that I actually always did really like about FF8, having even with my limited exposure to the game, is I actually always really enjoy the soundtrack. Like,
the soundtrack is actually my favorite Final Fantasy soundtrack.
I cannot tell you how many times I had the Black Mage's cover of the Extreme just blaring out of my car.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, and like my extent of like real knowledge with these characters mostly stems from Kingdom Hearts.
That's very sad.
I'm so sorry.
So you basically have dry David Borneas.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. I feel like I've offended.
No, it's okay. I will say though that part of my affinity for Squall, aside from the fact that now I can appreciate the fact that he was just a traumatized teen who was turned into a child soldier.
Yeah.
He was me in high school. I was Squall.
Yeah. I remember you cosplayed Squall. I still have your belt.
I was in my own head all the time, and I had an inner monologue for everything, and I didn't like to talk to people.
Yeah, it's
dressed all in black.
Yep, I know the feeling. It's nice to have though like a character that you relate to, and like that helps a lot with coping. Like especially like growing up and dealing with the difficulties of high school. Having those characters to kind of relate to in your head is really good coping mechanism, I think.
Yeah, and Squall actually grows over the course of the game, so he doesn't stay the same way that he is being made fun of by his teacher at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah, which that's awesome. So all right, so mine. I think I told you before we started is a lot of mine is going to be on Nintendo consoles. However, keeping up with the streak, I have not. I do not yet have a first-party Nintendo game on my list, and
Wow.
that's going to continue. So, this game that I have selected for the Nintendo 64 that really touched me in a way was Banjo-Kazooie.
I knew it.
Yeah, this game, like, it's not my favorite 64 game. It's up there, and I love Banjo-Kazooie. Like, I love Majora's Mask. I love Ocarina of Time. I love Star Fox 64. I love the original Smash Bros. Nothing else brought my mom and I together like Banjo-Kazooie. Like, we would sit in front of the TV for hours, while I would play through Banjo-Kazooie and just work through everything. And like the only other game that had come close was the original Donkey Kong Country. We used to play that game a lot together. And my mom,
nice.
yeah, my mom is very, like, typically not big on video games. Generally feeling like they're a waste of time. But there was something about Banjo that really she was really liked to sit down and watch. We had a really good time playing that together and just bonding. As someone who I didn't really grow up with a dad, so any bonding time with my mom was really, really important, and that really really struck home. So Banjo's always had like a very, very special place in my heart because of that. And it actually continued when I picked up ukulele.
Yeah?
This was a couple of years back. The first ukulele, the original ukulele, and I took the Switch over to her house and we sat down and I played ukulele for like 2 hours while she watched, and that brought back a lot of good memories.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that game is really important to me. I know you're not a big fan of Collect-a-Thons.
No, I'm really not. But I will say that I love Gruntilda.
I love Grunty. She's great.
She's a forever wife, if there ever was one.
Yes, she was.
If I were less tired, I'd come up with some sort of rhyme right now.
Yeah, I gotta throw props over to the writers at Rare for putting her dialogue together. That was actually fantastic and really impressive.
It's very funny.
A lot of it is
very funny.
A lot of the humor of the game really is genuinely great. Like, I really like it.
It's got this weird, like, tinge of Britishness to it.
It really does. That's really the best way you can describe it. It's just got a hint of Britishness, and that's like, not a bad thing.
You could get some Wallace and Gromit out of there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's the way that the levels are all designed. I mean, the game is actually really short, and I really like that about it. And it fits, very, very well with the 64 controller. A lot of games I feel like are very, very adaptable, to different controllers. Like, I think most N64 games play better on a GameCube controller. But there's just something about the button layout of the 64 pad that worked so well with Banjo-Kazooie. But the music, the tone, the characters, the world, and just that ever growing need to complete everything. You got to get all the musical notes, got to get all the jiggies, and you're always being tangibly rewarded with that stuff. And it's great. The game is so special. I love Banjo-Kazooie. Everybody should play Banjo-Kazooie. You should go play Banjo-Kazooie.
I don't think I will. I will say, however, that I think that the N64 controller is a crime against humanity for not having a second analog stick, but that's just me.
Yeah. I mean, they were kind of figuring out the whole 3D gaming thing at that point. And Nintendo, I feel like their approach to 3D games was really, really interesting. Like, it's hard to describe the difference between Nintendo's approach and Sony's approach to 3D games. Also, pour one out for Sega, but
yeah, poor Sega. I didn't own any Sega consoles after the Master System, and it's not for a lack of wanting one. It's just when you're a kid, like you have you basically get one Christmas gift like every couple of years, and if it's a console, you're gonna pick the Nintendo console if you're not European, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. So let's see here. So we're about. So this next one, this next generation is going to be kind of the halfway point, and this will probably be the last generation that we talk about tonight. And this is the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox. Which this came out when I was. When we were what, 12? 11, 12? Yeah, 2001.
Something like that. It came out the same year, I think, as a movie series that I won't be naming, but I do remember that it came out around that same time.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, 2001.
I specifically remember the release of Luigi's Mansion with the console.
I love that game. I love Luigi's Mansion. That's not my pick.
Not mine either.
Yeah, that's not my pick. I do love Luigi's Mansion though. So what you got for this gen?
Okay, so there's a lot to choose from with this gen.
This was very difficult. I think I went through like 5 different games before I settled on one.
The PS2 may have the greatest library of all time. It's just in competition with the SNES. I feel like the GameCube, like, despite not having many games, like a lot of them were really good.
It had some very high highs.
Heck, the Xbox had Halo.
I could do an entire podcast discussion on Halo and what that game did right for multiplayer shooters. Like,
oh yeah.
Oh my god.
But my game actually started on the GameCube, and it eventually went everywhere, and that's Resident Evil 4.
This is a great pick.
Oh yeah. So, some context. I played all of the other Resident Evil games that were out before Resident Evil 4. And so at the time, I was a pretty big fan of Resident Evil.
I'm shocked.
And yeah, it's only grown since. But this one was like a shock to the system in a really good way. Like, I absolutely adore the janky fixed camera angles from older Resident Evil games, and I love the tank controls. But Resident Evil 4 is an 80s action movie, and it has the best 80s action star with Leonardo DiCaprio hair.
He is something out of a boy band, and it makes me so happy.
Leon Kennedy is my husband.
That's a good husband.
Yeah. He doesn't smoke.
Yeah, he's got gum.
Yeah. No, Resident Evil 4 is amazing. And even down to like the minute details, like how fun it is just organizing your inventory.
It's a Tetris game.
Yeah, basically. The shooting is, well, I mean, if you played any of the former Resident Evil games, like, you know that there wasn't really any shooting. It was all aim assisted and point your gun and hope and pray you hit with it.
Yeah, like I wouldn't even. I don't think anybody could ever actually consider the original, like the Resident Evil trilogy, to be like a shooter series.
No, they're definitely survival horror. They work more in the vein of like a Silent Hill or a Clock Tower, but with more action.
Yeah, they really do.
But Resident Evil 4 added a nifty little thing called a reticle.
God bless that laser sight.
That laser sight, man. It makes every weapon in the game fun, even if it's not a very good weapon. Like, even the mine thrower is pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's got a pretty fun cast of characters. Like, you never forget Salazar.
Oh my god, the cast of Resident Evil 4 is like I even like Ashley. Like,
yeah, Ashley's fun.
Like, yeah, Ashley, like everything that they do with these characters, like, Resident Evil, like I'm going to talk a little bit about, spoilers. I'm going to talk a little bit about Resident Evil later in this series. But like Resident Evil 4, that was my first introduction to Resident Evil proper. A friend of mine and I had borrowed the remake of the original from a friend of ours, and we got to the first zombie and got scared and we quit. I ended up picking up Resident Evil 4 on the Wii, which I think is a very good port of that game.
Oh, it's excellent.
Yeah, like I think that might be like the best use of the Wii remote that I have ever seen in a video game. But Resident Evil 4, like that it got me started on Resident Evil. It didn't really bring me into the series as a whole, but it kind of brought me into it and got me to know, got me like more familiar with the rest of everything going on. And that's when I realized kind of what Resident Evil was about. Is I always thought it was just straight horror. It's really scary, and then I realized that's always the first half of Resident Evil games, or the back half of Resident Evil games is some of the goofiest stuff you will ever see in your life.
It's usually sci-fi but wow, Resident Evil 4's back half is it's wild, man.
Yeah, so spoiler warning for Resident Evil 4. There's a monster in the late game called the Regenerator, and just their breathing gave me nightmares. I hated those things. Those things absolutely drove me crazy. But I didn't realize how much of a personality those games had until I started playing, and then I started messing with the extra content that Resident Evil 4 offered, and the fact that you could put Ashley in a suit of armor and have her just not be able to be carried away by any of the cultists. Resident Evil 4 has got a laser cannon, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't remember how you unlock it. I think you unlock it by beating professional mode.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Because I know the Resident Evil 3 remake also has a laser cannon.
Yeah. You unlock like the Chicago typewriter with the one of the Ada stories and the hand cannon from like getting completion marks with every character on Mercenaries. But I'm pretty sure the laser cannon is professional mode.
Yeah, oh, it's so good. That game is it didn't even didn't just change us. It changed like the whole landscape of third-person shooters. I don't think I don't think we can overstate how how important that game is to third-person shooters.
Man, even the prototype was important because it became Devil May Cry later.
Yeah, that game was important to everything, and as it just kept getting more important as time goes on. It's crazy. There's a YouTube channel that I watch called Girlfriend Reviews, and they've referred to that as revolutionizing the genre of the look at the booty shooties.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And if you're gonna pick a booty to look while you shooty, Leon Kennedy's got the goods.
Leon or Ada.
I love Ada. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a Resident Evil episode. All right, we're gonna commit now. We're gonna do a Resident Evil retrospective before Village comes out. Deal?
Sure, especially if it gets delayed.
Yeah.
And let me just add that on that booty train, like in Mercenaries mode, you can also play as Krauser and Wesker. Fine additions.
Oh, geez, that's awesome. I never really dove into the Mercenaries
and
mode.
Hunk as well.
Yeah, well, you're gonna play as Hunk in pretty much every.
Hunk is the mainstay of Mercenaries mode.
Yeah, I'm trying to because there was you played as Lady Hunk in Revelations, I think.
That's funny.
Yeah, and it's just Hunk, but like sexy. It's great.
Should have taken the Pyro from TF2 approach, where you don't know what gender they are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they talk or not. So, I don't know. Anyway, so all right, so we're gonna wrap it up with one more game, and this is another one where I really went back and forth, trying to decide between this game and another game. Really, 2 games in this series. Because I didn't want to have these games be back-to-back. Even though they really probably could. But I decided to keep it, simple, kind of where the roots of everything were. And my pick is going to be a little GameCube fighting game called Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Yeah, of course.
It was actually a really hard decision to pick between Melee or Brawl. Because they've each really affected me in really different ways. With Melee, that's where I started getting, a little bit more of my competitive edge, to play Smash competitively, to play, fighting games a little bit more, because that's what started getting me into stuff like Soul Calibur 2, and Tatsunoko versus Capcom. Smash kind of paved the way for all that. But Melee that's where I really started. I would meet with people for the sole reason of playing Melee and just whopping them in Melee, because I felt like I had to. I was just like, I have to be the best, because you and I are from a very small town, a very small county,
Right.
So competition is scarce. There was
Slim pickings.
It was very slim pickings. So with the exception of one dude, whose name is Jared, I was able to pretty much beat anybody that I played. And when I actually started attending tournaments later down the line, over up in Nashville, but that started with Brawl. I thought I was just king of the world. It was great. A very big fish in a small pond kind of story. But Melee, on top of being a very wonderfully tuned and very technical, very rewarding fighting game, it really did. It still led me to make a lot of friendships that I would not have made otherwise, and that really started the path that I'm still on today. I mean, I stream Smash Bros more than I stream anything else by a wide margin. Just because I have a very love-hate relationship with Ultimate, but I'm gonna come back to it because of those seeds that Melee planted. And I love Melee, and I love watching high-level Melee. I used to play Melee a lot more in tournaments way back in the day. After I had started playing Brawl and Project M a little bit more, I picked Melee up as a little bit more seriously, and then I got to meet quite a few high level people. I got to meet and kind of get to know Esam. I've gotten to meet Hungrybox. I've met Mewtwo King. I've met all these crazy high level players, and those are unique experiences that would not have been possible without Melee. So I owe a lot to that game. I owe a lot to that game. Not to mention the prize money. Prize money also helped.
Yeah, you gotta get that fight money.
I did get that fight money. Yeah, it's you and I played a lot of Melee too, back in the day. Played a lot of Smash.
My favorite thing about Melee is just the character additions from some additions that would have been obvious picks for the original if they weren't so crunched for time and cartridge
Bowser.
space. Yeah, Bowser is exactly who I was thinking of.
Yeah, Bowser and Mewtwo, I think, are probably the most glaringly obvious.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's just such a well-crafted game in a bunch of multiple facets, because it's a really really fun competitive game, but oh my god, I love adventure mode. Adventure mode in Melee was what I basically wanted out of a small mini story mode of sorts. You pick your character and you go through the Mushroom Kingdom and a Zelda temple, and you're running down the F-Zero racetrack, and you're talking to Star Fox. It's crazy. I love it.
And you make up your own story about what's actually going on.
Yeah. I mean, that's how World of Light is. That's how I get through World of Light. That's how I play World of Light still at the age of 31. That's how I play.
I get through World of Light by pretending that Sephiroth just wants to kill everybody again.
That's actually a really funny. Like, have you played through World of Light with Sephiroth?
Oh yeah, Sephiroth is my main now, and that's probably not changing.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a really cool detail about Sephiroth in World of Light that nobody knows because no one but me plays World of Light. So every character uses their run animation when you're traversing the world map, except Sephiroth. Sephiroth uses his walking animation.
He's a slasher villain.
He really is. That's just a neat detail that doesn't have anything to do with Melee that I just wanted the world to know.
Well, now you know.
Yeah, now the more you know.
Also, the event battles in Melee,
those
really
got
cool.
intense. Those got really intense.
I'll never forget the Giga Bowser Ganondorf Mewtwo fight.
Did you remember the first time that you saw Giga Bowser at the end of Adventure Mode?
I actually only first saw Giga Bowser through that event mode. I never. I think it was actually classic mode that you got to see Giga Bowser in first, right?
No. So classic mode, you fought Master Hand, and if you beat it within, I think, if you beat it within 15 minutes, I believe you got to fight Crazy Hand and Master Hand.
Right. Okay.
And Adventure Mode, because Bowser was the final boss of that normally, then you, if you beat it under 18 minutes with normal difficulty or above, then he transformed into Giga Bowser and was the final boss.
Yeah, for some reason, I ended up playing the event mode before I played that.
Oh, wow. That must have been shocking.
Yeah, just like, what is this?
Yeah, it's crazy. Melee is a great game. All right, so yeah, I think that's about gonna do us for tonight. So next time that next time we meet, we are going to we're going to continue this with the next part of this. We'll talk about these games that have kind of shaped us as we've gone. And next up, we're going to be tackling the PlayStation 3, 360 Wii.
The PS Wii 60.
Yeah, the PS Wii 60. Could you imagine someone just taping that all together? Ugh, being an abomination. And then we're going to end up with current gen stuff, which PS4, Xbone, and the Switch.
Last gen stuff.
Yeah, and then last gen stuff now. I can't believe we're on a PlayStation 5. Where did the time go?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's okay for not like recognizing that as the current generation since nobody has one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And nobody can get one.
Yeah, I feel so bad for anybody who's like trying to get a hold of a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X right now. It's so difficult. But all right, guys. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up for the night. As always, you can find us. You can find us on Twitter. You can find me at ProtoDadPlays. Cass, where can they find you at?
I'm at ColdStare89. There's not really much to see there.
Yeah, very, very understandable. We're going to be working also to get a PodShow Twitter account up here shortly, and that'll probably be at the ProtoStare PodShow.
Oh, Twitter. And you have a Discord.
Yes, we have a Discord. And I'm going to include a link to it here in the description below. But yeah, please, if you enjoy the cast, please, leave us a thumbs up. We're still kind of learning how all of this, the business side of this works. So any thumbs up, any reviews that you could leave, that would be a great help to us. And if you enjoy the show, we'd actually love to play games with you. If you click the Discord link below, that will bring you into our Discord. And I stream a lot, and Cass, I'm sure, will be joining me on some streams as well.
Sure.
We'd love to play. We would love to play games with you guys. So anyway, that's going to be it for us tonight, and we'll talk to you next time. Okay, everyone, have a great night.
Later.